Welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner Classic Less Known Classics. This is episode number 2260 in Doubleshot number 2154. These two trades feature sexy ladies. First up we have is Jessica Jones Volume 3, The Return of Purple Man. Yes. This collects issues 13 and 18 of the Jessica Jones ongoing series. Written by her creators, Brian Michael Bendis and Mike Gatos. Yes, this book, now the first 13 to 17 deal with Return of Purple Man. Yes, Purple Man is back. He has been released from prison for stupid reasons. And, oh, by the way, Purple Man in this book, this artist likes doing his Purple Man. He basically gives him gray as temples. Like he's Mr. Fantastic for some reason. And yeah, he appears in other books, he's perfectly fine. It's only in this artwork he's drawn like that. I have no idea why. And of course, Jessica sees him, first time since the Alias book. And then he's shot by Kraven the Hunter. And he slowly dies over the course of these issues. Yep. Now you're probably thinking, Kraven the Hunter and Jessica Jones. Why the heck did Bendis included him here? The answer, I have no idea. It could have been a variety of reasons why. But yeah, and also, while he was alive, he was possessing, of all people, Captain Marvel. One of two women, one of a handful of women who basically, now Jessica Jones considered her to be her best friend. Yep. Yeah, then by issue 17, he dies. Yep, he dies. But sadly, he does not stay dead for long. Oh no. He was brought back with her next book. And then basically, it was later revealed during Devil's Reign that Wilson Fisk used the Purple Man's power to make himself the mayor of New York. Yep. The last issue is a really nice issue. Doesn't really do with the main book at all. It's a nice little epilogue to this series. But this book is really good. I love all the possession here. Of course, Carol Danvers is freed. And that's it. Well, with this book in particular, I am done with the third ever released book for Jessica Jones, but the second one ever reviewed because, of course, I fully reviewed Alias. This book now joins it, which means there's technically about 2 more books for her left to cover, and that's The Pulse. Even though I kind of covered one issue of this series, but I haven't covered the whole series yet. And the Jessica Jones miniseries comes right after this one. Yep. Now, apparently this is considered to be the second volume of Jessica Jones, which that doesn't make much sense. Like, when released the first volume? Oh, okay. I think it was, it was basically a tie into Jessica Jones' Netflix show. That's why they consider this volume 2 on the Wiki page. Yeah. So, I give that book a 9.5 out of 10. Final thoughts on the Jessica Jones book itself. This book was really good. And it's a shame the book got canceled issue 18. Now, my theory of the reason why this book got canceled. Because Bendis left Marvel for DC. So, he writing 4 books at this point. He was writing the Spider-Man book featuring Miles Morales, this book, Defenders, and Iron Man. Defenders, this book got canceled. Spider-Man was put on the shelf for about a year before he finally came back. Iron Man was relaunched almost immediately. Yeah, and some of the stuff toward the end of his run did kind of influence a little bit of Dan Slott's, but not very much at all. But what happened to Jessica Jones once this book wrapped up? Well, she got herself a digital first book. Yep, a digital first book. You think, okay, so anything else? Well, aside from after basically this book wrapped up, she was she was mostly featured in Daredevil during the last year of Charles Schultz's run on the book. She featured in the Anime Agenda miniseries, which of course was really good to review that one. Some issue of Squirrel Girl, some issue of the previous volume for Daredevil and the current run, the Contagion miniseries. Mostly it's all sporadic appearances. Primary player in Devil's Reign. She was also she got kind of another book after this one, which was called The Variants, which basically is kind of her book. But her most recent book appearance today was actually the final issue of the Kelly Thompson Captain Marvel book. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, by the way, the next volume actually starts in October with a brand new writer, Alyssa Wong. I'll talk about that later when I talk about the final trade when it does get released for, basically for Captain Marvel, which is going to be quite interesting to discuss that one. Yeah, so she's still around. Yep, mostly a lot of S.T.R.I.K.E appearances, of course, the last few years. Alright, next that we have is... Oops. Not oops. Surprisingly. Let's put that up here. Alright, next that we have is Captin Carter. Yes, the Ultimate Universe version of Peggy Carter. And yes, as you can tell, she's drawn like the actors who play in the movies. Haley Atwell. The inspiration for this miniseries in episode What If, because what if Peggy Carter got the Super Saiyan syndrome instead of basically, well, Steve Rogers. So the book does not deal with her backstory mostly. She just wakes up in ice, wakes up present day, and she works the Prime Minister, works for S.T.R.I.K.E, and apparently they work for S.W.O.R.D. at some point in this reality. S.W.O.R.D., S.H.I.E.L.D., but they left that community for some reason. That's actually kind of explained toward the end of the book because the Prime Minister did that. Well, and the Prime Minister is a bad guy, which I'll get to more of that. So then she runs into Betsy Braddock of this world, and basically she becomes a partner. And her boss is Lance Hunter. You think, wait, Lance Hunter, S.T.R.I.K.E? Yeah, he has history with S.T.R.I.K.E, and you were thinking, when it comes to MCU, what do people think of becoming Lance Hunter? Oh yeah, he is Mockingbird's ex-husband from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yes. And it's a shame Mockingbird never met basically the guy who in the comics is her ex-husband, Clint Barton. And there's also Hydra in here. She gets sort of shut out of some stuff. Yeah, and it turns out Hydra has nothing to do with this book at all. It turns out, though, that the people who actually are control of the government, yes, because we just fired the Prime Minister, and it also involves the Falseworths, which they're evil in this world. Yeah, even Jacqueline Falseworth is evil, despite the fact in the Prime reality she is Spitfire and actually a superhero. Yeah, she's a vampire. She gets killed. And it turns out the Prime Minister's a vampire too. He gets killed off in this miniseries. And apparently the whole country is manipulated by this manipulation technology. Oh, if you're curious though, how the heck did the Prime Minister manage to survive in sunlight despite the fact he's a vampire? He wore a medallion. A very magical medallion. Which killed him. Yeah, and it's when she was taken away at one point when she was talking to Henry that she found he's a vampire. I'm like, that is interesting, though, the fact that it was like that. Oh, in case you who wrote his miniseries, Jamie McCleve does this miniseries with Marika Carissa. Yeah, and also, she runs into Tony Stark in this series. Yes. Now, here's something interesting, though. In the MCU, Tony Stark, like in the comics, is the son of Howard Stark. Here, it's more like his grandson. My guess is the reason why they did that, and the reason it makes more sense based on how much time has passed. Where Tony Stark is his grandson, not his son. Yeah. Now you might be curious though: is in fact Tony Stark is he drawn like Robert Downey Jr.? No, he is. He's more. It's like basically, despite how Peggy at first is drawn like Haley Atwell. At the start of the miniseries, they just simply dropped that for the first issue. Yeah, where they do like original design for her. But on the cover, she's clearly drawn like Haley Atwell.
Mom's going to hospital after work tonight, right? So,
okay. What's going on?
Grandpa's in the hospital, remember?
Why is Oh yeah, surgery.
You guys know what day it was, but that's what you're going to have to
Yeah. So this book is actually just really good. If you're a fan of the Captain Carter episode 1F, you would love to check this out. Now, I mainly picked this because they're both love interests for, well, popular superheroes. Peggy Carter is love interest of Captain America, and of course Jessica Jones is the wife of the awesome Luke Cage. Which, thank you, Marv, for not undoing their marriage. Yeah. They didn't do a lot of other stuff, but that's one thing I think Bendis probably told him, no, you cannot touch this because Bendis made money with this. This book is quite interesting. Now, you might be curious, though. Is there any hints of any attraction between Captain Carter and Betsy Braddock? No, they're just really good friends. And surprisingly, she does not get a love interest in this whole book. You can imply it's probably Howard Stark. It's probably Tony Stark. But it goes nowhere. It's like basically he has a fantasy toward her, but it goes nowhere fast. Also, it turns out, though, this is not technically the real guy. It's basically a robot basically standing in for him. Yeah, and they also mentioned that, well, Lenz, now apparently Betsy Ark was named the deputy director of S.T.R.I.K.E. And of course, you have Tony Stark go back to the States. He fights someone with golden boots. I'd say it's probably Loki. So it's implied that possibly the Avengers movie happened in this book, but there's no Captain America here. But it's interesting throwing Betsy Braddock. Makes sense because she was actually part of S.T.R.I.K.E. Okay, fine. Where's her brother? That's a good question. Here's another question. What happened to Steve Rogers? Did he die before he got the serum? Never explained because there's no flashback sequence of her time on World War II. Now you might be curious though. Does this version of Captain Carter pop up again? Yes, she does. And you're thinking, where does she pop up, you might ask? Well, Peggy Carter, like right after this miniseries wraps up, she pops up Avengers Assemble crossover. Yep. She appears in the opening and last issue of that particular crossover, mostly appearing in Avengers Forever, one issue of Avengers, and basically the first two issues of Betsy Braddock Captain Britain. And that's it. No, seriously. She appears in that first two issues, and that's pretty much it. Now, you might be curious, is this book still being published? No. Yeah, for some reason, the book got canceled in 5 issues. My guess, low sales. Yeah, I'm not actually not surprised. The book got canceled in 5 issues because it was not the popular book. Yeah. Expect to see a review of that trade in the future. Yep. But yeah, that's particular view. Next up is going to be Konosuba. Okay, next view. Bye.